Antibiotics, ciprofloxacin, are useful in controlling sepsis in fistula, colitis. Medical therapy XX to induce remission, steroids XX for maintenance, immunomodulating drugs like azathioprine XX antibiotics, metronidazole, as immunomodulator, XX monoclonal antibody, and infliximab XX nutritional support. Note: patients with Crohn's disease should avoid NSAIDs. Surgery indications: failure of medical treatment. If patient cannot be weaned off systemic steroid after 6 months. Intestinal obstruction, most common indication. Fistula formation, bleeding, malignant change. Perforation, fulminant colitis. Perianal problems. Crohn's disease, children with growth retardation. Note: surgery is not to cure the disease, but to correct complications. Recurrence of complications and relapse of disease can occur even after surgery. Patient should be on postoperative azathioprine, 6 megapixels, 5 ASA. Surgeries: ileocecal resection, common procedure done because commonly ileocecal region is involved. Segmental resection, conservative resection is better. Total colectomy and ileorectal anastomosis. It is only done in extensive colonic Crohn's. Ileoanal anastomosis with pouch is not done after total proctocolectomy, or continent ileal pouch is not done as disease may later occur in the pouch itself. Structuroplasty, temporary ileostomy, right hemicolectomy is done occasionally. Emergency colectomy may be needed in 8% of patients with extensive severe colitis but with rectal sparing. Laparoscopic resection is good alternative. Occasionally, if rectum is diseased or anal disease is severe, then total proctocolectomy with ileostomy is done. Corrective surgery for anal diseases like fissure, abscess and fistula. Definitive procedures for internal fistulas like ileovesical, ileocolic with fecal and urinary diversions. Bypass and exclusion procedures are not commonly used at present. In free perforation and peritonitis, ileostomy is needed. But later, it is difficult to decide the timing of closure of ileostomy as disease is extensive. It is wiser to do right ileocolic resection or right hemicolectomy in these patients. Interocutaneous fistula is treated with excision of fistula with resection and anastomosis of that particular segment. Organ. Fistulas are also treated with resection of adherent bowel and closure of organ like urinary bladder wall. Small bowel Crohn's causes chronic bleeding. Colonic Crohn's often may cause massive bleed. In massive bleed, angiographic control or colonoscopy is needed. Note: appendicectomy should not be done in acute phase of Crohn's disease as it may lead to external fecal fistula. If there is no acute inflammation, elective appendicectomy should be done as it eliminates appendix as a source of future abdominal pain. Surgical complications of typhoid. Typhoid, enteric fever, is caused by organism, Salmonella typhi. Mode of transmission is fecal route. Presents initially with fever, chills, abdominal pain. Typhoid XXS typhi, Esperityphi A, B and C XX gram-negative flagellated bacilli XX fecal oral route is commonest mode of spread. XX asymptomatic human carriers are most important reservoirs. Typhoid Mary. XX Peyer's patches, mesenteric lymph nodes, gallbladder, spleen, liver and bone marrow are commonly involved. Complications of typhoid. XX paralytic ileus is the most common complication. XX intestinal hemorrhage, as the Peyer's patches in terminal ileum are enlarged and ulcerated, 20%. Usually blood transfusion and antityphoid therapy is sufficient to control bleeding. Rarely in massive bleed resection anastomosis is needed. XX perforation. XX cholecystitis and carrier stage. XX venous thrombosis particularly of common iliac vein is known. XX typhoid cystitis, basiluria, epididymo orchitis. XX arthritis. XX typhoid osteomyelitis, granular sequestrum, XX typhoid perichondritis and laryngitis leading to airway obstruction, XX typhoid abscess in liver, spleen, brain and parotid, XX myositis, myocarditis, meningitis. Typhoid enteric perforation. Perforation usually occurs in third week of the infection. Ulcers are multiple, arranged in parallel and in anticenteric border of the ileum. One or more ulcers might perforate and many ulcers may be on impending perforation. XX patient is toxic, presents with severe diarrhea, relative bradycardia, soft abdomen, obliterated liver, dullness, abdomen without guarding and rigidity because of Zenker's degeneration. Initial history of fever for few days, then pain, abdomen and tenderness, which is progressive. Associated features: XX splenomegaly, fever, headache, rose spots in the skin. Investigations: possibility of missing typhoid perforation is very high. X-ray in erect posture shows gas under diaphragm. Widal test is positive. Neutropenia is seen in blood. Blood culture, 90% plus Wei, and stool cultures are often required. Marrow culture is useful. Identification of specific and sensitive markers to detect IgG, IgM. These tests are positive even when blood culture is negative. PCR assay for typhoid infection is also useful. Note: incidence of typhoid perforation is 2% of total cases. 75 to 80% of perforations are single, which needs simple closure after taking biopsy from the edge of ulcer. 20 to 25% of perforations are multiple, which requires either resection or exteriorization as ileostomy. In paratyphoid B fever, colon perforation can occur. CT scan abdomen is ideal investigation to detect early pneumoperitoneum and fluid collection. Treatment: antityphoid drugs, quinolones, chloramphenicol, ceftriaxone sodium are started. Later laparotomy is done to close the perforation. Ulcers which are on impending perforation should be sutured with Cierosa. Presently, resection and anastomosis is also accepted as treatment when multiple perforated ulcers are present. Zip technique, laparostomy, to reopen the abdomen whenever required is also beneficial. Exteriorization of ileum is ideal in a critically ill patient. Once patient recovers properly after 6 to 12 weeks, closure and continuity is maintained. Closure of perforation with iliotransverse anastomosis is the other option, but not ideal. ICU care, TPN, enteral feeding, monitoring, blood transfusion, fluid and electrolyte management, prevention or management of other complications like DVT, DIC, ARDS, septicemia. Surgical complications of roundworm, Ascaris lumbricoides. Life cycle: eggs, right pointing arrow; phaco oral root, right pointing arrow; larvae, right pointing arrow; portal circulation, right pointing arrow; liver, right pointing arrow; hepatic veins, right pointing arrow; IVC, heart, pulmonary artery, right pointing arrow; lungs, right pointing arrow; maturation of larvae, 8 weeks, right pointing arrow; alveoli, tracheobronchial tree, right pointing arrow; cuffed outer swallowed to intestine, right pointing arrow; adult roundworms, right pointing arrow; male plus female worms union, right pointing arrow; release of eggs, right pointing arrow; stool, right pointing arrow; reinfection. Features: worm colic, toxicity, fever, tachycardia. Subacute intestinal obstruction. Acute intestinal obstruction with palpable roundworm bolus per abdomen. Perforation, common in the ileum. Note: perforation usually occurs at the site of pre-existing disease like non-specific ileal ulcer, amoebic ulcer, typhoid ulcer, and suture line. Intraperitoneal abscess, dyspepsia, malabsorption, iron deficiency, anemia. Due to migration of worm into the CBD, pancreatic duct causes ascending cholangitis with fever, jaundice and upper abdominal pain or features of pancreatitis. Loeffler syndrome is due to larvae in the alveoli causing fever, dry cough, chest pain, dyspnea. Investigations. Fig. 21.1. Small bowel enema, barium meal follow-through may show roundworms in the ileum. US can demonstrate the worms, worm bolus, worm in CBD or pancreatic duct. Blood may show eosinophilia, anemia, hypoalbuminemia. LFT for worm in CBD. Chest X-ray may show bronchitis. Sputum or bronchial wash may show larvae or Charcot-Leyden crystals. AB. Figs. 21.1. Stool examination may show over. CT, MRI will show worms, obstruction, worm in CBD or pancreatic duct. Treatment. Antihelminthic drugs like piperazine citrate 60 ml is given immediately if there are features of obstruction, otherwise at night time. Albendazole, mebendazole are other drugs used. Proper nutrition is important. Nasogastric aspiration. IV fluids, observation is sufficient in most of the situations. In 48 hours, obstruction will be relieved and child passes worm bolus per anally. Occasionally laparotomy and milking of the worm bolus into the cecum without enterotomy is needed. Once worms are in the colon, hypertonic saline wash per annum makes them to disperse and pass outside. Removal of worms by enterotomy is rarely done. Enterotomy should be securely sutured using silk, otherwise reperforation from sutured site can occur by worm toxins or by worm activity in migration. If there is perforation, common site is ileum, or gangrene with peritonitis, peritoneal worms should be essentially removed. Ideally, ileum should be exteriorized to prevent suture line breakdown after closure due to worms. Once patient recovers, bowel ends are sutured to maintain the continuity in abdomen is closed. Even though it is ideal method, it is not commonly performed. ERCP, worm extraction and stenting is done for worm in CBD, pancreatic duct. B. Treatment of roundworm obstruction. XX drugs, piperazine citrate, mebendazole, albendazole XX. Most often by conservative treatment, worms get dispersed and passed per anally. But patient requires nasogastric aspiration, IV fluids, antibiotics, and observation. XX. If patient is not responding, then laparotomy is done. Worm bolus in the distal ileum is milked into the cecum. Often enterotomy and removal of worms is required. XX. Perforation due to worm requires immediate laparotomy, removal of worms and closure of perforation. XX. Only rarely, resection and exteriorization is required. PNEUMATOSISCYSTOIDESINTESTINALIS. It is transient, thin cysts containing nitrogen in submucosa and subserosa of ileum. It is due to increased intraluminal pressure, which forces N2 through the layers of the bowel due to hyperperistalsis. It is associated with chronic duodenal ulcer, chronic pulmonary disease, bowel obstruction. It can be associated with connective tissue disorder like scleroderma. In neonates, it is associated with necrotizing enteritis. It is common in subserosal and submucosal planes. Cysts contain nitrogen and hydrogen. They can occur anywhere in GIT but commonly seen in jejunum. Later in ileocecal and colon region. Mesentery and peritoneum may also be involved. It is equal in both sexes. These gas-filled cysts in small bowel may rupture into peritoneal cavity to cause sterile pneumoperitoneum. Peritonitis is unusual. Abdominal pain, distension, bowel disturbances, vomiting are the presentations. Intestinal obstruction, hemorrhage, perforations are complications. Treatment. Oxygen therapy by 70% oxygen for 5 days or hyperbaric oxygen 2.5 atmospheres for 2 hours daily for 3 days. Metronidazole therapy, treating the cause, resection only in refractory cases. B. Small bowel strictures causes. XX tuberculosis of ileum, jejunum XX Crohn's disease XX radiation enteritis XX ischemic strictures, after bowel ischemia, necrotizing enterocolitis. XX non-specific causes XX Gary's stricture following long-standing irreducible hernia occurs after reduction and surgery, due to constriction band causing ischemia at the site, management XX small bowel enema, capsule endoscopy, CT scan, investigations XX treatment, treating the cause, resection anastomosis, and stricturoplasty. Mesenteric vessel ischemia. Superior mesenteric artery is commonly involved than inferior mesenteric artery. Often superior mesenteric vein can also get involved. Causes: embolism 50%, sources 3/4. From left auricle, as seen in atrial fibrillation. 3/4 a mural infarct. 3/4 atheroma from aorta or aneurysm. Endocarditis vegetations. 3/4 left atrial myxoma. Thrombosis 3/4. It may block the origin of the superior mesenteric artery and can cause ischemia of full length of small bowel. It is life-threatening. 3/4. It may be due to atherosclerosis or occasionally tau. Often all main splanchnic vessels, celiac, superior and inferior mesenteric arteries may be involved by atherosclerosis. Fig. 21.16, pneumatosis. Non-occlusive 3/4. It is due to hypotension, hypoperfusion. 3/4. It is due to vasospasm due to shock, non-occlusive mesenteric ischemia, NOMI. Superior mesenteric vein thrombosis occurs in patients with portal hypertension, portal pemia, sickle cell disease, women with contraceptive pills OCP. Pathology. Bowel and mesentery will be edematous, friable, discolored, and collected with fluid and blood. Once gangrene sets in, perforation can occur leading to peritonitis. Clinical features. In acute abdominal pain that is out of proportion in relation to tenderness, pain is around umbilicus to begin with later diffuse. Persistent vomiting, bloody diarrhea, later shock and toxicity. Initially abdomen will be soft but later develops tenderness, rebound tenderness, distension, guarding and rigidity. Rectal examination shows bloody stool. In chronic postprandial abdominal pain is the most important symptom with aversion to food and weight loss. Abdominal angina, recurrent colicky pain, diffuse in nature occurs with or without food intake. Bloody diarrhea, it is a feature of both acute and chronic and is confirmed by rectal examination. Later, once severe infarction of bowel occurs, it may present with acute features. Types. It can be acute type, sloughing of intestinal mucosa occurs in 3 hours, infarction of entire thickness of bowel occurs in 6 hours. AB, Figs. 21.17a and B, ischemic bowel necrosis. It will lead to perforation and peritonitis, so always requires surgical resection. Chronic type, it is slow and gradual process. It can also be extensive involving large segment of bowel, small or large. Localized, 3/4. Colonic localized ischemia at splenic flexure, the most common. 3/4. Focal segmental ischemia often with necrosis in small bowel. Chronic mucosal infarction. Specific features of mesenteric ischemia A. It is often considered as intestinal failure. It can be thrombotic, embolic, and non-occlusive. Low flow status is due to reduced SMA perfusion by underlying causes like cardiogenic shock, mesenteric vasoconstriction, or part of systemic disease. There is no documented thrombosis or embolus. It is rapidly progressive, causing early mortality. Clostridium, anaerobic and streptococci infections are evident. BC, Figs, 21.18a to C. Gas bubble in the mesenteric vein is pathognomonic sign of irreversible mesenteric ischemia. CT angiogram is very useful. An occlusion at the ostium of SMA signifies thrombosis. Embolic occlusion is smooth filling defect, usually distal to origin of middle colic artery sparing proximal small bowel, right side colon and transverse colon. Emboli can be fragments causing multiple patchy necrosis of bowel at different sites. Decreased blood volume, poor tissue perfusion, metabolic acidosis, myocardial depression by depressant factor, endotoxemia, ARDS, renal failure, septicemia and MODS are the pathological events. On laparotomy, musty smell and dusky look of extensive gangrenous bowel is typical. When in doubt, ischemia should be confirmed by oxygen support, warming, on-table Doppler. Investigations: plain X-ray in erect posture and US of abdomen. CT scan is the investigation of choice. Angiogram or CT angiogram is the most reliable investigation, especially in NOMI. It is also ideal for chronic ischemia. Angiogram, on-table angiogram Doppler study, on-table. Blood tests: total count is raised with drop in hemoglobin. Raise in blood urea and serum creatinine is common. Serum phosphate level is increased very early in 4 hours as small bowel is rich in phosphate. Arterial blood gas analysis is often essential. Blood culture may be needed. Treatment: development of septicemia, ARDS. Emergency laparotomy is done. With the help of Doppler, the block is identified and the vessel is opened. The block is removed and the bowel is reperfused. If patient has presented after 24 to 48 hours, gangrene might have already occurred, then resection and anastomosis is done. If patient presents within 6 hours, it is possible to prevent gangrene and to salvage the bowel. Emergency SMA angiography is done. Papaverine is injected for vasodilatation. By many studies its benefit is not confirmed. Often heparin, 20,000 units loading dose and then maintenance dose of 5,000, 1,000 units 6 hourly, or thrombolytics are injected. Immediate laparotomy is done. SMA is opened, arteriotomy, over the obstruction and thrombus, embolus is removed using Fogarty catheter. Perfusion is maintained. Close monitoring is essential for possibility of formation of bowel gangrene, and if it is so, relaparotomy should be done for bowel resection. In acute condition, thrombolysis using streptokinase, urokinase and recombinant tissue plasminogen activator can be tried. It should be done within 8 hours of onset of pain. NOMI is often treated with selective infusion of vasodilator papaverine into SMA. It is also used in all types of mesenteric ischemia. Catheter is placed into SMA under guidance. 45 mg of papaverine given as a bolus initially, later 30 mg per hour continuous infusion with 1 mg per milliliter concentration. Catheter is usually kept for 2 weeks and repositioning with regular angiographic confirmation is needed. Papaverine being a vasodilator increases the bowel perfusion through end arteries as well as collaterals. Chronic mesenteric arterial ischemia is treated with surgical revascularization using aortomesenteric bypass graft and mesenteric endarterectomy. It also can be treated with PTA with or without stenting. PTA should not be done if there is bowel infarction. It is done through transfemoral or transaxillary route. Balloon should be longer than the lesion and 10% wider than the arterial diameter. Chronic mesenteric vein thrombosis is treated with anticoagulation or propranolol or esophageal varicose banding or portocaval shunt. Eventually patient requires oral anticoagulant therapy using warfarin for 12 months. Repeated post-therapy angiography is needed in all patients. Steroids are given to reduce lysosomal membrane destruction and effects of endotoxins, to maintain arterial resistance and complement activity. High-dose hydrocortisone is used. Higher generation antibiotics, critical care, ventilator, fluid, electrolytes and nutritional support, TPN, are essential. Note: minimum bowel length required to be retained is 1.2 meters, otherwise the patient will have high mortality due to short bowel syndrome. Small bowel transplantation is under trial for the same. Mesenteric bowel ischemia has got very high mortality. Development of septicemia, ARDS, DIC, postoperative leak are common. Emergency laparotomy is done. Necrotizing enterocolitis. Necrotizing enterocolitis is an acquired inflammatory disease commonly seen in infants and newborn but occasionally can occur in children and adults. It is more commonly seen in premature babies. It is more common in formula-fed babies than breastfed babies. Reduced gut flora make virulent pathogens to act and cause sepsis. Common site is terminal ileum, cecum and ascending colon. Often it can involve entire small bowel. Gas in the bowel wall and often in portal vein is typical. Incidence: often associated with low birth weight babies. Preterm babies 90%, term babies 10%. Sites: common in small bowel, terminal ileum and cecum. B. Pathogenesis. Hypoxia. Hypothermia. Hypotension. Hyperviscosity. Acidosis. Umbilical artery cannulation. Exchange transfusion. Hyperosmolar feeds. Packed cell transfusion. Antagonists. Mesenteric ischemia. Down-pointing arrow. Bacterial invasion of mucosa and bowel wall. Down-pointing arrow. Necrosis. Skip lesions are common. Down-pointing arrow necrotizing enterocolitis. Clinical features. Most babies present with bilious vomiting, abdominal distension, guarding and rigidity. Bradycardia, apnea, lethargy, thick gross or occult blood in stool, 75%.